Hello, good evening.
Oh.
Welcome to another episode of Guns and Yellow Ribbons. My name is Fergus. I've got a very mischievous Trevor Hill in the background. We are going to look back over the draw at Stamford Bridge. Hopefully at some point as well, we will have Alan Smith joining us. He's had some bits crop up, so we're hoping it will come good and be able to join us. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. This is your Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Enjoy the show.
Good evening, Trevor. Monday night. God, the weekend has been, it seems like only minutes I spoke to you on Friday night when we had Laura on. A really good show. I enjoyed that one, didn't you?
I'm fuming.
Oh, here we go. I've had this for 10, 15 minutes. Go on.
I can't talk. Oh, look who's joined us.
Oh, I've sorted it out. There we go.
Hello, mate. How are you, Alan?
Yeah, I'm good. Very well. Are you?
I'm fuming.
Fuming?
Why? Because I've had loads of banter with Chelsea fans today. I've been polite. They've been quite rude at times. But, you know, it's what happens on social media. At the end of the day, the Chelsea goal was offside. I can't believe it.
Well, what you mean, the lad on the line?
Yeah.
This is what he means, Alan. He says that Enzo made a play for the ball, prevented Mascara to play the ball. So effectively, he's interfering with play. He should be deemed offside in the current rules, don't you think?
Do you know what? It was funny because Mascara, I think they said in the studio at half time, Mascara didn't go to clear it. Why hasn't he gone to clear it? And when I originally saw it, I thought, oh, will they be having a look at that? But VAR, because we get the feed in our ears, they didn't even really look at that, I don't think, for any length of time anyway.
Wow.
But, you know, they did us with our own trick, didn't they? You know.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? Yeah, but, you know, as Ferg's going to talk about right now, we've not had a bad week, have we, to be honest?
No, God. Sorry, you speak. Go on.
No, I was going to say we haven't. We were like North London Derby last weekend. Eze got a hat trick. Then we beat the best team in Europe that everyone's saying this season. Well, clearly the second best team in Europe because we beat them. And Madueke gets his first goal for Arsenal in Europe in the Arsenal colours. And overall, the season, 20 games in, 17 games unbeaten run. 1 loss, 3 draws, including the game that we'll talk about later, the Chelsea game. What's your thoughts of the last week in the season so far, Alan?
Oh, no, I mean, I think when we looked at the fixtures, you thought this is a big, big week. And I think overall, physically and emotionally, it's hard to be giving 100% right across. And I think we saw the results of, what had come before at Stamford Bridge. The boys looked flat and, maybe that Bayern Munich effort had taken a bit out of them. So, no, I think you've got to look at it as a really good week. I know after the Sunderland game, we thought, disappointing, 2 points dropped. But, they're carrying on, aren't they? That might turn out to be a very decent point. And this one might as well, the Chelsea. Because, in my neutral opinion as a commentator, I think before the sending off, they were the better team, Chelsea. They were looking more dangerous. It was one of their best performances of the season for me in terms of the aggression and, kind of purpose. And yes,
on that aggression, I watched Match of the Day's punditry afterwards, and Jonathan Pearce was commentating on that, and he said one or two of the players have let the occasion get the better of them, playing with their hearts more than their head. Like I did find, looking at Chelsea, they rolled around a lot. They made a meal out of everything. I know we're going to look with rose-tinted glasses and Arsenal goggles on it, but I tried to look at it a little bit with a bit of openness, and I just found that, like, who was it? Chalobah, when he was rolling around when he got hit in the face. If you got hit in the face that badly and you're that badly injured, you wouldn't be able to roll around like that.
Well, it seems to be the standard thing now that if you get a man sent off, the team that's just had the man sent off try and even it up. You know, it just seems to be the standard thing. So there's plenty of going to ground, rolling around. You know, Chelsea weren't the first, they won't be the last. I mean, Caicedo, in all fairness, when he went into that challenge on Marino and then he's gone to ground rolling about, I did think you're not injured here, mate, you know, because you know you've caught him and it's a bad tackle. As a commentator, you can never say that because the day you do say it, he might have broken his leg. Do you know what I mean? But it did seem that he was just trying to get out of it a little bit. But yeah, I think it was such a hard game to ref because there was so many niggly fouls, so many players going to ground. And yeah, for that reason, I think, well, okay, let's move on and take the point.
I mean, in fairness, right, we did it a bit as well. If you'd have asked me the question last night, I'd have been fuming and I'd come out the ground and I'd all sorts. But as I've gone through the day and I've watched a bit of a replay of the game and that, by the way, I'm only going to touch on it once. I'm not going to dwell on it and we're not going to raise it anymore. Anyone out there, Alan, I respect your unbiased policy. Commentary, mate. I genuinely do. I think it gives us the moral high ground and I appreciate it. So thank you. But going back to the game, right? Going back to the game, we were at it as well. I think it was one of them games. But we just, for me, maybe we look tired. Maybe we look jaded. In the first half, we didn't look like we had any fluency about us, any movement about us. You know, I couldn't work out actually what Marino was doing because he was centre forward, centre half, and anywhere in between. And we just looked really disorganised. Would that be tiredness, Alan, or?
Yeah, I mean, I did think, well, this shape, it doesn't look happy at the moment, you know. And I mean, Arsenal, the boys play with a great deal of rotation, don't they? You know, people are swapping positions all the time. And I mentioned in commentary, Jurriën Timber's centre forward at one point, you know, and this is, you know, this is what Arteta works on and what makes them difficult to pin down. But on this occasion, it didn't quite work. Eza had a really quiet game. You know, you could forgive him that after what he's done. And it just felt a bit clunky. There was, as you said, Trev, there's no fluidity to it. Sometimes that happens, you know, and they didn't start particularly well, and they found it hard to pick it up.
How did you find like we had the lineup here of Raya, Timber, Mosquera, Capia, Calafiores, and Zubameni, Rice, Saka, Martinelli, Marino? How did you feel that the late replacement of Saliba due to the injury, I think in the day before training or warm up, and it ended up being Capia and Mosquera as a pairing, two great defenders, but as me and Trevor were saying beforehand, like Trevor said, partnerships is what a centre pairing makes, and they haven't had long enough to play together.
Yeah, and as you say, when it comes late like that, and you haven't had a couple of sessions on the training ground, it's difficult just to sort out, you know, each other's positions, get to know each other a bit better. It's been a long time, hasn't it, since both Saliba and Gabriel were missing from that starting 11. But, you know, in years gone by, we would have really struggled, you know, without those. But now, you know, I'm a big fan of both those players, in Capia and the other fella whose name's just gone out of my head. Mosquera, of course, yeah.
Mascara, as I called him a few weeks ago.
Yeah. So, it's not an easy environment to go into a London derby like that when it's 100 mile an hour, you know, the ball's not sitting still for a second. But, you know, I thought they grew into the game. I think they did okay. And Capia, you know, he loves a scrap, doesn't he? I think Arteta described him as a warrior, and you can see that. But, you know, I think we've got our squad depth to thank for the fact we could get through that game, you know, a big challenge with, you know, our two first choice centre halves not there.
Without naming names, we're in a much better place now. And I rate Mosquera and Nkapia, I really do. I just think for both of them to come in as their first game as a partnership in that high profile derby like that was massive, and they did all right. But Dan Gunning here in this comment, Alan, he's a good friend of the show, good friend of Fergus and myself, actually. and he's saying that the two centre halves yesterday didn't have a common language to communicate. Would that affect them? Is that something you've come across in your time as a player or commentator, Alan?
I mean, it's a good point. I don't know.
Didn't Mascara played in Spain and Ecuador? Did he speak Spanish or Portuguese?
Ferg, do you know what language they speak? Oh, I'm going to believe Dan. Anyway, Alan, Fergus rudely cut you off there, mate. You were saying.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, sign language quite often works in football, but it is a good point. If they don't speak each other's language, maybe that's a little handicap. But not a massive one, I don't think, because you can look at each other's positioning and feed off each other. And as the game wears on, you become a bit more comfortable with each other. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, Saliba's it's not a serious thing. It didn't sound like it was. I think Gabriel's a bit further away, isn't he? And obviously, the team misses him both ends. But this is why we went out and bought those lads in the event of what's happened.
How did you find that we'll go back to the red card situation, that the referee dealt with the situation? Because you can see when contact is made here, the referee's got a clear line of sight. And even from the very first look I saw it on the TV, I saw that it was a bad tackle and a high tackle. His leg was straight, studs were up, and he caught Marino. He looked like. Is it a case that referees are using VAR to almost check that they're doing a good job or something like that? I don't know, because he didn't look committed to issuing a red card, which was clearly a red card from the off.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you might have thought it was, but in the heat of the moment, you don't get as good a view, obviously, as you do after 10 replays. But he just thought it was a yellow. I mean, in terms of the timing, he was only a split second off. But what I thought was the fact that he's gone with his studs when for that kind of tackle at that kind of angle, you could have gone with a firm side foot. So as you said, it was a straight leg. It was delivered with a lot of force. As I said, Anthony Taylor had a really tough job out there. So I don't blame him for just giving a yellow. And as you say, it's human nature. They've got a backup, haven't they? They might be thinking, well, I'll give him a yellow and then see what VAR think and see what I think when I look at the monitor. So I think the right decision was made at the end. Took a little time, but yeah, I think the right decision was made.
Yeah.
Trevor, what did you make of it?
Well, being in the ground, I was right in the front row, and it's hard to get a perspective on distance from right at the front. You need to be higher up, but it looked really bad. And I thought, that's more than a yellow, I think. And then, of course, when Anthony Taylor gets called to the screen, you know what's coming. So the right decision was made. But I think that Chelsea, for me, in my head, with my limited, zero experience of actually playing football, Chelsea must have been going out and thinking, we're playing Arsenal, we're in great form, top of the league, winning games for fun. We've got to leave our mark here, and maybe Caicedo just left his mark too much. Maybe he didn't mean to. I wouldn't have thought he'd have meant to hurt Moreno, but he would have been going for a hard tackle, wouldn't he? And
that wasn't the first. I mean, he started like a man possessed. He was terrorising all around the pitch, getting in challenges. He looked like an angry man, really. And I just wonder, there's all this talk leading into it of him and Declan Rice, who's going to win this battle and that. And maybe that affected him. Only he could answer that. But I know he loves to get about and get his foot in. But he just seemed that little bit more aggressive on this occasion. And it did. It got the better of him, I think.
Yeah. Have Chelsea got a problem? 7 red cards?
They used to say that about Arsenal, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I mean... they're a young side, so maybe that plays a part. I'm sure they would look at it the way that Arsenal looked at it when we kept totally, totting up those reds. Yeah. Sometimes it's a mistake. I remember the game at Manchester United when Sanchez got sent off, and it was just kind of poor decision making as much as anything violent, when he brought the lad down. But not ideal for them.
Do you know what? I don't know if I'm strange or whatever, but well, some people would say I definitely am, but when I'm at a game watching live, like I normally am, I don't often notice what the opposition players are doing. I notice when they've got the ball, but I'm focused on the Arsenal, and it's an interesting point because I hadn't noticed Caicedo being really over the top, but he obviously was, I've watched it back a bit today. So maybe I'll have to start changing my vision and
Trev, they all were
at the wider picture. But Alan, we got to go back to the Tottenham game at the start of the week. Did you see that coming? Did you expect us to beat Tottenham?
You always wonder. I mean, obviously, Arsenal are streets ahead of Spurs. We all know that. But in derbies, the old cliche about it's a leveler. I never thought it'd be too much of a leveler, but you're never confident saying, "Oh, it's going to be 4-0, 4-1." But yeah, I mean, we are that much better than Spurs. No question. Yeah. And the boys played well, didn't they? They really did play well. So Spurs, I mean, it's an incredibly poor performance. They had no attacking threat hardly, just the Richarlison goal. But brilliant for the fans, isn't it?
Did you cover the game?
No, I didn't. No, I did Newcastle Man City on the Saturday night, which was another cracking game. Yeah, brilliant atmosphere up there, absolutely superb. And City conceded so many. I mean, there were so many chances in the game, but when City are conceding the amount of chances that they did at Newcastle, that's when you start to think, maybe they're not the title contenders we thought they were, because they've got a few problems defensively. Leeds got 2 the other day, didn't they? So they've got a few problems defensively.
Yeah,
that Spurs side that you saw there. Sorry, Trevor. I was actually quite disappointed with the North London derby, and I said it to some of the guys in the pub on Wednesday, and they said, "No, don't worry, but we beat Spurs," and the usual sort of responses. But I was disappointed because Spurs didn't even turn up; they didn't even give us a game. And I expect when you go into a derby game to have a bit of like yesterday was. There was a bit of passion about it. You got excited, you got your blood boiling inside you. None of that with Spurs. They were that poor. Have you seen a poorer Spurs side in recent times?
I mean, I did the game Saturday night against Fulham when they just imploded first 5 minutes. It was incredible to watch, and then Vicario was getting absolute pelters, the keeper, from the south stand there, and you felt for him. It was horrible. And then Thomas Frank came out, didn't he, and said they wouldn't be real supporters booing their own player, and I thought, ooh, that's dodgy territory to go down that road, but he did. But yeah, they got big problems, huge problems. I mean, we've recruited so well. The boys coming in, you can see that quality. And of course, they've cost a lot of money. At the moment, the Spurs lads that have come in, Mattis Tell, Colin Mawani got a couple in the week at PSG, but, he's not really delivered. Javi Simons hasn't. So the new boys that they brought in to strengthen the side haven't. And they've got some key players out like Kulusevski and Maddison and Solanke. So he's got a big job on his hands there, I think.
Do you know what, right? I always worry about a North London derby. But after about 10 minutes of that game last week, we were nowhere near scoring, but I just relaxed. I thought, we don't lose this game. Not a chance do we lose this game. I thought Tottenham really were that poor. But that's enough of Tottenham, isn't it? Are we going to move on to... Firstly, Alan, got to say happy birthday to George Graham for yesterday, I think.
Oh, yeah. Someone said to me yesterday.
Yeah, happy 81st birthday yesterday.
81st. Brilliant. The very best. Saw him not too long ago at Arsenal. So that was good.
Alan, as a striker, scoring in a North London derby, what is that like? And scoring a hat-trick in your North London derby like Eze did in his debut derby, North London derby as well, must have been wonderful, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, I think it's definitely would have been one of the highlights, if not the highlight of his career so far. He's an Arsenal boy, isn't he? So that's why he wanted to come to the club. So, yeah, brilliant feeling. I mean, I think my first goal against Tottenham for Arsenal was at the Lane. And if you remember, we won 3-2, I think it was. I scored at the far post with a header. Nigel Winterburn scored after the little 1-2 with the outside of his left foot. It was the one where Gaza scored, I think, and his boot had come off and he kicked the hoarding. This would have been 88, maybe, or 87, one of the two. But that was brilliant to win at the Lane. You know, you don't forget that to win 3-2 there, and to see those fans behind the goal. Yeah, it was magical, and we had the lion's share of wins over them. It was just the FA Cup semi-final, but sticks in the throat still. But in the league, more often than not we beat them, which was good.
Yeah. Do you know what, right? I'm going to be blatantly honest and say I don't specifically remember that game. And I was talking to Fergus about it just now. My memory's terrible. Remembering specific games is gone. You know, I've been going to the Arsenal for over 50 years. But a memory, I was on the Footballogy app just now, and a memory crop popped up, and it said to me, this 49 years ago today, I was at Loftus Road watching Arsenal lose 2-1 in the League Cup final, in the League Cup quarter final to QPR 2-1. And I immediately remembered Alan Ball missed a penalty in that game. I don't know where it came from, you know, but memories are strange things. Mine plays up terrible. It's because I'm an old bugger. And Alan, listen, conscious you've only got half an hour, and I appreciate every minute of it. But Fergus, we're going to talk briefly about Bayern Munich with Alan now, then, mate.
Yeah, one last thing I'd like to know about the North London derby, like the tifo, the fans got together with the club, and the club helped fund that big tifo on the North Bank. It was absolutely fantastic, and it got the atmosphere going. And you can see Saka when he walks out, and he sees his face, because the players hadn't seen it beforehand. He sees that he features on there with greats as the Sol Campbell and Thierry Henry and the likes. If you were to see another tifo, what would you like to see on a tifo? What greats would you put on a tifo?
It'd be nice to go further back, wouldn't it? You know, some of the greats of the 30s and whatever, like Cliff Baston and all those boys. But you know, John Radford, some of these lads get forgotten. You know, some of the double winning players in 70, 71 maybe. It was a cheeky one, wasn't it, having Sol Campbell up there? That made me laugh.
It took a lot of persuasion, I can tell you that.
yeah. But I love those tifos. They were a foreign thing, really, weren't they? I think in the main, but they've come to this country, and it was a brilliant start to the game with that and the fireworks, North London forever, and everything. Yeah, it was a brilliant start, and that would have pumped up the lads no end.
You took the next question right out of my mouth, Alan. I mean, it certainly lifted the fans. We were buzzing after all that. And then North London forever, boom, the loudest I've ever heard it. And that would definitely pump up the players as well, yeah?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah, it would. You know, you don't need too much pumping up for a North London derby. But because I always wonder about today's players, whether it means as much and everything, because they're quite often, you know, they're foreign boys who haven't been brought up with these kind of derbies. But I think when you go out even for the warm-up and you're aware of the crowd, they just feel a bit different. The atmosphere is different. And certainly when the game gets going, there's just an added intensity. Although, you know, on this occasion, we didn't have to up the ante too much. But it would have those kind of things at the start of a match. Yeah, that would have pumped the lads up, definitely.
Trevor, you got to say that, move on to the Bayern game, wasn't it? That what you're going to?
Yeah, well, I just want to ask this question of Alan first, if you don't mind, Ferg. We get the younger fans nowadays, Alan. We get a lot of people saying, "You've never won a European trophy, Arsenal. Never won a European trophy." So can you just answer this question, because I know the answer. You definitely not won in against Parma to win us it, didn't you, mate?
Yeah, I did. And do you know what really gets me? When people devalue the Cup Winners' Cup, because I think it was second in line at the time behind the European Cup.
Yeah.
And, you know, in that particular year, PSG, Real Madrid were in it. So there were some big clubs, and Parma were the holders, and they had half of Italy's World Cup squad that summer, you know, in their team. They had Zola, Asprilla, Thomas Brolin, who was a very good player back then.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't rewrite history. We have won a European trophy. But it'd been lovely to win another, wouldn't it? You know, the club's too big not to win another pretty soon, and who knows? This could be our year. We'll wait and see. We don't want to count our chickens, but that was a brilliant night. We were the big underdogs. We got a lot missing. Brighty was suspended, and John Jensen done his cruciates, and Martin Keown failed the late test. We didn't have many chances. I think my shot was about the only one we had on the night. But we had a brilliant back four / back five with Dave Seaman. You know, they were probably at the peak in those years, and they just about held on for us.
You see, I've still not forgiven you for that final. You know, scoring so early in the game and then leaving me on the edge of my seat for the rest of the game for all that time. Oh, mate, you could have left it till about the 88th minute and then bang one in. You know what I mean? Then would have been happy. But I've never. It's
spare a thought for us. You know, we were running about trying to get hold of the ball. But great night. Yeah. And I think you know, I felt a bit jealous because I think the supporters always say it was one of the best ever nights afterwards, and maybe days afterwards. But we ended up at bloody Stansted Airport at 3 a.m. We flew straight back because if we hadn't won that, we'd have needed a point or 3 against Newcastle at St James's Park on the Saturday. So we couldn't, you know, take the chance. So they booked the flight and we flew straight back. We were gutted.
So no party in Copenhagen then?
None at all. Yeah, I remember actually in Newcastle, I was sharing a room with Alan Miller, and the game was a dead rubber, meant nothing. I remember there was a wedding downstairs, and one of the two of the lads sneaked out to the wedding. But me and Alan Miller said, let's get on room service. We'll get a couple of beers up, you know, a couple of Budweisers, whatever, and we did. And then Stuart Houston comes knocking on everyone's door and just making sure everyone's behaving themselves and coming up and smelling our breath as he's getting close to us, you know. And we're going, come on, Stuart, we just won the Cup Winners' Cup. It doesn't mean anything tomorrow. Give us a break, will you? You know, the gaffer had sent him to do the rounds. But, no, that was... people always remind me of that Cup Winners' Cup. It was, a special night.
Looking at European football, Wednesday night, beaten Bayern Munich at our place. Declan Rice's performance, and in particular that tackle he made on Kane, you could hear the whole crowd just like fired up and everything else. His performance and his improvement and growth as a player from coming from West Ham right through to now playing in European games like that has been immense.
Yeah, it has, hasn't it? Yeah, and I remember in the early days of him coming, he said he'd learned things about the midfielders game off Arteta that he didn't know existed. So that tells you a lot. But I mean, he's so consistent again at Chelsea. He made that tackle that probably saved a goal, and you just hope he can stay fit. And we talk about squad strength and depth. You know, there's nobody like for like to replace Declan.
No.
We could get by without him. Of course we could for certain games, but yeah, he's one on his own, and he's brilliant.
Superb. He's absolutely superb. I do worry about him getting injured, if I'm honest. Hopefully he won't, and we shouldn't really talk about it because he's not injured. But Bayern Munich, they beat us regularly before last week, didn't they? You know, they beat us, you know, by easily, comfortably. Did you see that coming? I didn't see it coming. Not that performance against Bayern during the week.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, I thought going into it, we're in a better position than we've ever been. And I think, you know, the belief now is different, isn't it? I think the lads believe they can win the league. I think they believe they can win the Champions League. And after that, the other night, they'll definitely believe it. And I always equate it to lining up in the tunnel beforehand, and you look across to your opponents and you think, yeah, we're better than them. And sometimes you can feel that the opponents think that we're better than them as well. And there'll be a lot of that this season. You know, we're a big team as well, aren't we? A bit like, you know, the likes of Henry and Bergkamp, Vieira, all those boys. So, yeah, we'll see. But it was a statement, wasn't it, beating Bayern? It was a statement. Massive. And I think maybe we surprised them by how good that performance was. But, yeah, you got to take it on and go all the way, and come the crunch, do the business.
Yeah. Has this squad then, because you mentioned Henry and the like, and the invincible players that you saw, the size of them, has this squad got the potential. Is it as good as the Invincible squad? Is it probably the best squad we have, or do they have to win that league, our Champions League, to get that mantle?
Yeah, you can't say that. You certainly can't say they're better than the Invincibles at the moment.
No.
Look, I mean that generation of players. Will there ever be a team that's got the two best strikers in the world in the same team? Which I thought Henry and Bergkamp were at the time, and as particularly as a partnership. So that was amazing. But I think strength in depth was probably stronger in terms of the squad strength now than back then. But yeah, you've got to win something. Or more than one thing, probably, to be mentioned in the same breath.
Yeah.
So, hopefully we can. They're more than capable of doing it.
See, Europe really annoys me, Ferg. It really annoys me, Ferg, because
everything annoys you.
We've been, you in
It's an angry
particular,
man.
you in particular. We seem to always find a way, or someone has an exceptional game, and find a way to go out of Europe. We're good enough to win a European trophy plenty of times in the last few years. I mean, just take last season. Donnarumma had the game of his life. He'll never make a save like that again. That's an exaggeration, but it was an exceptional save from Odegaard, and we got knocked out. I really thought we could win it last season. But I'm getting on a bit now, If you see any of the players, Al, can you have a word, please? Because I've got to see us win it in my lifetime. And I'm not the young. I know I'm a bit younger than you, Al, but I'm not the youngest fella on the planet anymore,
Well, keep the faith, mate. They came really close, didn't they? And PSG were a good team, weren't they? I think deservedly in the end. I mean, the way they took into Milan apart, it was stunning. They're not quite the team that they were. I did the game against Spurs the other night, and although they beat Spurs, they're not the same. So then you're looking at the likes of Arsenal and Bayern, Barcelona get beat by Chelsea. Real Madrid aren't the same as they were. But it's a cup competition as well.
You get luck as well, don't you?
Yeah, there's a bit of that involved. But if you get that little bit of luck, it can
Our next two fixtures coming up, we got on Wednesday night, we got midweek football against Brentford. And then we go on Saturday, the early kickoff, we go to your boyhood team, Villa. What's your thoughts on both of those upcoming games?
Yeah, I mean, the boys need to bounce back on Wednesday against Brentford. And I did wonder, I think everyone wondered how they were going to do under Keith Andrews with Thomas Frank leaving and Burmo and Visser leaving. But he's done ever so well. They've got a great home record, not so great away. But they're a dangerous team. I'd expect Arsenal to win. And then at the weekend against Villa, again, Villa are in a funny position. Ollie Watkins isn't playing every week. He's not firing. They've been done by the PSR. They couldn't strengthen when they wanted to. So again, they're getting some results. They're on a decent run.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think they're the side that they were a year or 2 years ago. So, I think Arsenal should be confident going there.
You do, yeah?
I've got to be up at 4:30 Saturday morning to go to watch that game. Bloody 12:30 kickoff, so I could do without.
You can't get a direct train, can you, in time for kickoff?
Do you know, I'm in Lincolnshire, and my quickest way of getting there is to go all the way into London and come all the way out again. But I'll be there, as we do, because we find a way, don't we? Ferg, I'm just conscious of the time. With Alan. Alan, have you got to leave us, mate?
Yeah, I'm just at my daughter's at the moment, so I've got to go in a couple of minutes, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine. Whenever you feel you need to go, just let us know, and we'll go from there. Trevor, go on. I'll leave it over to Odegaard's back fit. How do you see this Odegaard as that sort of area working out? Is it going to be like the substitutions were on Sunday, where Zubamendi came off, Rice dropped back and allowed Odegaard to go into that 8-10 role sort of thing?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You'd love to have Eze and Odegaard in the same team, wouldn't you? But by the same token, you don't want to unbalance it. In a way, you don't want to see Rice. He can do it, but you'd rather have him in that slightly more advanced position. But great problem to have. We'll see. I mean, Eze could play off the left there. I mean, but I love him in the number 10 position. So, I mean, I think it'll be good for Odegaard. I think he probably needs pushing at this stage in his Arsenal career. He was disappointed last season. So I think he will be pushed now, which can only help the starting 11.
Do you think the fact that Eze scores goals and Odegaard doesn't seem to be scoring as many goals could put him higher up the pecking order?
Yeah,
I know captaincy and stuff like that comes into it as well.
No, I doubt. I mean, he should score more goals, shouldn't he, Odegaard? He definitely should. And last season was particularly poor, but sometimes he turns down the chance to shoot. He's always looking for that little cute pass. But yeah, if you've got somebody that can get into double figures, as Eze could easily, then that's a big plus in his favour.
And I suppose before you go, your thoughts on our striker, our number 9, Victor Gyökeres. There's lots of varying opinions on if he's good enough for the Premier League or if he's not. Was the right buy? Should we have Šeško? What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I think he's definitely good enough for the Premier League, and it's still early days relatively because he's such a different player to what we've been used to. He loves running those channels and an early ball. If we can get to the byline, I think, and cut it back, he's one of the few that will just gamble and get ahead of a defender. As much as I rate Havertz, I love him. He doesn't always think that way in terms of just gambling, getting in front. But Gyökeres can score ugly goals, and he's got a few, and I think he'll get a lot more. And maybe he'll start on Wednesday. And yeah, I'd like to see him just go on a nice little scoring run now, because he does give something different to the team in terms of style. But Havertz coming back, there'll be times I'm sure when Arteta puts Havertz in there because he's a brilliant footballer. But I don't think the fans should be giving up on Gyökeres. He's wholehearted, gives lots to the team. Makes great runs, and yeah, I think he'll do well.
Go on, sorry, Trev. I spoke enough.
I'm very happy with Gyökeres. I think that Gyökeres doing what he does as a centre forward, something we've missed for a few seasons now, has made Saka and Trossard better players. I think they get a bit more space because Gyökeres is occupying more defenders, and I like watching Saka and Trossard when Gyökeres is up front. The only thing he seems to do for me, and I don't know if you've noticed this, Alan, be interesting to get your view as a centre forward. I mean, when the ball's coming to him long, or even when the ball's passed into him, if there's a defender on him, Gyökeres seems to be focusing on more in making the contact with the player, and doesn't seem to pay his attention to where the ball's going. I've seen him once or twice look for the player, or move to the player, and miss the ball or lose the ball completely. But that's only a minor thing for me. I think he's been superb for our side. And as I said, Saka and Trossard, for me, have benefited greatly.
Yeah, I mean, that's an art, really, in terms of backing into your centre-half, knowing where he is and also keeping an eye on where the ball is. It's not easy, but yeah, he's... I like him. He's a goal threat, isn't he? And as you say, I think he does free up space because of the runs he makes.
Yeah.
And what game are you covering this weekend then? Are you covering midweek or?
Yeah, I'm doing Arsenal Wednesday. And then I've got Wolves Man U on Monday night.
Bring coffee.
Yeah, well, I mean, Man U got a win at Palace, didn't they? A little bit fortunate, perhaps, but surely, I know they've been struggling, but surely they're going to beat Wolves, who they look like they're doomed. I couldn't believe Rob Edwards went there, to be honest, but it looks like they're down. So, yeah, well, hopefully we'll get, that's all I ask, that we get a good game.
Do you know, It's interesting, right? You're talking about managers, Alan, in that, I'll go back to Tottenham here, right? I'm sorry. I don't know how Tottenham are getting managers, because they turn managers into quivering wrecks, and that you can name the last half a dozen managers that have been high quality managers with a great track record, and they go to Tottenham and they almost seem to be having some kind of mental breakdown. Their frustrations are so apparent, and I thought I saw that in Thomas Frank when they played against Fulham this weekend. After the game, he just looked like he wasn't the same bouncy, bubbly, friendly Thomas Frank that we're used to seeing. Can it affect managers like that?
No, well, I mean, compared to Brentford, obviously the scrutiny, and the criticism so much more. And he's a bright man. He would have known that. He would have hoped he wasn't getting quite so much criticism, and the results would be going better. But yeah, it's strange one with Tottenham, isn't it? They've tried all sorts of different managers. I don't know what it is.
I think it's something fundamentally wrong in the culture of the club. I thought it was Daniel Levy, possibly, but he's gone, and they still continue. But it is Levy's appointment, Thomas Frank. So I don't know. I thought it was a poor move for the guy, really, because he was doing so well, as you said earlier, at Brentford. Maybe it was that jump a little bit too far. Maybe he should have gone to an Everton or a West Ham and then took the next jump on. I don't know.
I mean, you're only as good as your players, manager, and at the moment, I don't think they've got a good enough set to really, do well in that, say, top 6, whatever.
Yeah, I'm devastated for him. I'm absolutely devastated for him. I get really upset. I know you got to go. So last question from me, Alan, right? Last question from me. I'm not going to ask you directly if we're going to win it, but what I will say to you, putting it in a roundabout way, the bookies had us odds on to win the Premier League last week. Is that right? Do you agree with that?
I don't know about it. Yeah, odds on seems a bit strong at this stage, doesn't it? It really does. I'm not a betting man, so I'm not across all the odds, but we're favourites. You can say that, and we should be strong favourites. I think with what's happened at Liverpool and Man City. I mean, Chelsea, are they going to stay up there? Who knows? But we should be strong favourites because we are the best team. We are the best squad at the moment, So at the end of the season, hopefully that will bear fruit.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate your time.
Appreciate your time.
Boys. Nice to speak to you. Yeah.
You too. Take it easy.
Take care. All the best.
Cheers, boys.
Take care, Alan. Bye now.
Ta-da.
That was absolutely right, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's I love talking to him because he just makes sense, and he don't rant on. He don't, he just talks football and he knows about his football, and I love having him on the show, Ferg, and he would have loved to have said there, I bet, Arsenal are going to walk it, but I was listening to somebody talk on the radio, and he's somebody who'd been on that Celebrity Jungle thing, and they were just talking about how it's ran, and said while you're being there, just don't say anything you don't want to say that you wouldn't say live on TV. And I think it's probably the same situation with Alan. He just be careful what he says, because get clipped up and used anywhere. Well, I'm surprised he could get a word in, because you talked over him once there. It was very rude. I had to tell you off, Fergus. I had to tell you off. You can't be doing that to our special guests, right? We've got a message here from Dan Gunning. Right, I'm switching off now. Alan's gone. Dan, can you do me a favour? On your way out, can you shut the door, please?
Can you pick the toys up as well, please? Because it's there from the last time.
Simon Lester, look, Alan gave us some great memories, Simon. I don't know if you saw all of that, but I've had to tell him off for scoring too early in the Cup Winners' Cup final. But what a team they were. What a team they were, when Alan and Wrighty and Kevin Campbell, God bless him, wonderful, wonderful time. Sorry, mate. Go on.
Next up, Brentford. So, what's your thoughts on that? I know I talked to Alan about it. What's your view?
Just before we move on to Brentford, Ferg, I've got one thing written down here, right, that I wanted to say about the game yesterday at Chelsea. And for me, it's one of the most important things I noticed. As I said, I was a bit embarrassed about saying I don't watch much of opposition players, but I genuinely don't. I watch the Arsenal and I don't notice a lot of what goes on. I notice if we're getting battered, of course, but after the game yesterday, at the end of the game, Chelsea players were celebrating like they'd won the league, mate, like they'd won the Club World Cup. And rightfully so, in a way, because they were down to 10 men and they'd battled away, But the most important thing for me was every Arsenal player, I noticed Declan Rice in particular, and that made me look round the rest of them. Every Arsenal player looked really down, looked really frustrated, looked really annoyed. I see Declan Rice gesticulating just before the end of the game with a sideline, and I love that. I'm over the moon with that. They all came and clapped at us, but it was a slow clap. They weren't very enthusiastic. And those players would be down after yesterday, and they looked down. And that is superb for me because they know they had a bit of an off day, and I'm sure, watch out Brentford on Wednesday, Ferg, to lead us into the Brentford game. Watch out Brentford, mate. I'm sure we're going to come back flying.
Who are you starting, Danny? Alan's alluded to maybe Gyökeres getting the start up top. I know Jesus is now available, so I expect he'll be on the bench and maybe feature later in the game, possibly.
I don't think Jesus will feature. I've got the wrong comment there. Yeah, Simon, Brentford will prove to be a tougher fixture than people think. I absolutely agree, mate. But I think we're going to come out flying after yesterday's game. And I think that no matter how tough they are, we're going to come out at them and we're going to really turn it on Wednesday. Now, I think that taking into account Eze's form yesterday and the way Odegaard came on, and I thought he improved this when he came on, and the way Odegaard presses and harries and hassles. If Odegaard's 100% fit, Ferg, and he can play his normal game of harassing and chasing down and pressing, then he gets his name's on the team sheet already, Odegaard. As for Gyökeres, once again, I think if he's 100% fit, he plays. He plays, no danger. And we play Saka on the right. We play Trossard if he's fit on the left, if not Martinelli. I'm conscious. Be interested to get anyone's view here who watched the game yesterday. Conscious that I thought Saka didn't really have a great game yesterday. Great move for the cross for the goal, and that's all we need. One of them. But I thought he looked a bit jaded, a bit tired. So
I think the old did a little, Trevor. But I think he was getting like Chelsea were. They were on us at every moment. They were pressing, they were fouling, they were kicking him, kicking all the players. It was a dirty match, a really dirty match. We ended up on 6 yellow cards. I didn't think we were particularly, heavy-handed. Do you?
No, not at all. I think it was a bit of both. And I'll tell you what's that? Is it Cucurella, isn't it?
Yeah.
That boy should not have been on the field. It was a very, very lucky young man because he got his yellow card. And a few minutes later, I can't remember who he clattered into now, but he knew straight away that he could go, and he ran. Instead of Cucurella is known for getting in faces, isn't he? The gestures and the air going and this and that in the ref's face. As soon as he made that tackle, he ran away, ran 50 yards right to the corner out of the referee's ear and eye line. And I thought, Cucurella, you should be off here. Absolutely, you knew. Talk about making a statement. And I thought that Taylor bottled that one. He absolutely bottled that second booking. He didn't want them to go down to 9, and they should have gone because that was a dirty foul from Cucurella.
Back to Brentford, Thiago and Damsgaard. They're the main players that I'd worry about from the Brentford side. Thiago, he got it took till the 81st minute to even break down Burnley at the weekend. So which. And then that was 81st minute, Thiago, and then Thiago got a penalty, and So I don't know. I know Simon says it's going to be a tougher game. I think every game is going to be a tougher game, but we also have to bear in mind that we've got an early kickoff. You've just put it up there. We've got an early kickoff against Villa, so that's 2 weeks with 3 games in a row. So it's thick and fast, and then you got Christmas. We're really going to rotate the squad a lot. On that Saka point that you made, maybe is that a point to not start him on Wednesday, keep him on the bench, and give Madueke a run out?
Yeah, absolutely. Because Madueke was an interesting point to make yesterday, Ferg.
Well, he did, didn't he?
The Chelsea fans, I thought unnecessarily, gave Madueke a horrible welcome, rancidly horrible welcome. And I was watching Madueke, and I thought it might have got to him a little bit. there was a time when him and Saka swapped wings, and then they swapped back again. So
they do that, though. They do that. They do that.
But I thought Madueke don't deserve this, and I thought it was wrong of the Chelsea fans to do that. But yeah, so I think that might have affected him, and I'd love to see Madueke have a lots of game time on Wednesday. I really would. I think.
Do we know the extent of Saliba's injury? Does anybody know if he's going to be available? Or are we going to have Nkapia and Mascara at the back? Not that it bothers me. You know, they did. You know, Harry Symeou again made a really good point when they got the red card at Chelsea. It does change the game, but when they got their goal, it also changed the game for a bit better because they had something to hold on to, is what he said. So they actually backed up a little and gave us a little bit more space and didn't press Nkapia and Mascara so much.
Yeah.
So, you know, they did grow into the game. Everyone grew into the game a bit more then.
Yeah.
But if we have that lineup, send it back on Wednesday, not bothered?
Look, no, right. Look, right. Going back to what we said at the start of the show, Ferg, Nkapia and Mascara have my full confidence. I think they're two absolutely high quality operators on a football field. But to be bunged in as a new partnership in the Premier League, the greatest league in the world, against a team that's second in the league and in a bit of form, is never going to be easy. For me, and I've always said it, central defensive partnerships are built over time. And the best central defensive partnerships always have an understanding of each other. Look how Gabriel and Saliba have developed, not only as players, but as a pair, as a partnership playing for the Arsenal, right? We feel really comfortable. The last time we felt like this was probably Bold and Adams, and look where they were, you know. But we've always had it. We've always had good central defensive partnerships. And I'm absolutely certain that Nkapia and Mascara would make a superb central defensive partnership if they played together often.
Well, Demsek is suggesting Raya, White, Mascara, Nkapia, and Lewis Skelly. Complete 4 changes. Then Norgard, Marino, Martinelli, Gyökeres, and Noni. It's almost like he's treating this Brentford team as a League Cup game. Now, I'll let you come back on that, and then I want to touch on Miles Lewis Skelly. Yeah,
no, that team, too many changes in that team. Too many changes in that team for me. All, you know, everyone said their own opinion, and I respect Kev. He was always on here and gives some great points, but I disagree there. I really disagree there. I want to see how Calafiori is. Is he injured, or was he just taken off at half-time to change things? I think that Lewis Skelly, he'd only been on the field 5 minutes and he got booked, from what I remember.
Well, the reason he was taken off was Calafiori was taken off because he was on the yellow, and the way the tactics at Chelsea were having it made it quite likely he'd get a second yellow. So put on Miles Lewis Skelly and he gets a yellow within 5 minutes. So it negates that completely. And then add into how he was on Wednesday. Listen, he's a great young talent, and I'm not here to slag off Miles Lewis Skelly, but he didn't have the greatest game on Wednesday, and he was hooked off, probably because his natural instinct is to push more into the midfield, in my opinion. I don't know. I wouldn't start him. I think it needs to. I think he needs to drop out of the squad for a little.
Look, right, not out of the squad, out of the team, maybe. If Calafiori's fit, he should start. Right, he's had half a game off yesterday, so yeah. Calafiori's fit, 100% he should start. He's an absolute superstar in the making, and he's nearly there, Calafiori. Wonderful watching the boy play football. And Lewis Skelly, he seems to be giving fouls away, bookable fouls, silly fouls, pullbacks or elbows, you know. Quite easily he's giving them fouls away recently, and it's something we just need to see him cut out of his game, But I don't want to see a whole new back four. Raya in goal, yes. White at right back. White's not played all season really. So do we need to see how Timber is? No, play Timber. The centre halves, it looks like it's Nkapia and Mascara because that's what we've got. Definitely Calafiori at left back if he's fit.
He's one yellow card away from a one-match suspension, and if he gets a yellow card on Wednesday, then he can't play against Villa. So maybe there is an argument to say, right, let Lewis Skelly in there.
No, bring Lewis Skelly in against Villa, not on Wednesday for me. Okay. Honestly, Ferg.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the midfield, I think Zubi, Mendy and Rice pick themselves, with Rice further forward, I might add. And then you've got the real conundrum up front, though, right? Right. Yeah, Irish Mick, you may well be right, mate. I'm just going on my memory from the game. I've only seen the highlights back today, and I've not seen that. Then up front, we get a conundrum, and that's where I'd like to see people rested. I worry about Saka's energy levels. I worry about Rice as well, by the way, but I worry about Saka's energy levels. I think Trossard, if he's fit, should come back in because Martinelli could do with a bit of a rotation. I'd start Odegaard, and then I'd start Gyökeres up front, and we'd have Marino and Eze and Jesus, if required, to come on. But yeah, not White for me. Not we've got two new central defenders. Keep the two wide defenders as we've had them, mate.
Yeah, Steve says, do we need to give Rice a rest?
Yeah.
It's on from what we talked about with Alan earlier. You know, there's not many players that we can change the formation, everything else. There's not many players that can replace directly Rice. Marino maybe, but ideally he plays every bloody game for me right through to the Champions League final.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Ferg. Absolutely, mate. I mean, we've got cover in every position. We've got cover of a high standard in every position. We can cover Declan Rice's position with a high standard midfielder, but I ain't no Declan Rice. Declan Rice is streets ahead of any midfielder in this country or Europe for me. If we had another player of Declan Rice's stature, he'd be in the team with Rice, you know? So yeah, for me, we've got to play Rice because he's the reason we've been so good. He's the heartbeat. He's the bloke that makes the breaks forward and tackles late at the back. He does absolutely everything. I can't speak highly enough of Rice, Ferg.
No, to be honest, around here, there's a lot of West Ham fans, and they come along and say, they knew that he had reached his limit with West Ham and that he had to go on to a bigger and better club, and he has become a better player even further since he joined the Arsenal. So we're doing a prediction on what we think for Wednesday night.
Yeah, I think that we will bounce back and we will win comfortably against Brentford. I know Brentford are a good side and I respect Brentford. Actually, I've got a soft spot for Brentford, as I've said on here before. But I think that game yesterday will make us know we need to win on Wednesday. And I'll tell you what, right? I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Ferg. I'm going to go for a 1-0 to the Arsenal. Do you know why, Ferg? Because when I go 1-0 to the Arsenal, we always win by more than that, right? So, Trevor Logic, bear with me, people. 1-0 to the Arsenal on Wednesday.
I'm going to go 2-0, clean sheet at the Emirates. And then I will add to this run AFC stuff put up on Twitter. This is our season so far, 20 games in. We've lost 1, drawn 3. The people who are losing their shit on Twitter and social media, it's just ridiculous, Trevor.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, after the game last night, I do these videos in the heat of the moment after the game now. And I said on there that, I was disappointed, but there were positives to take out of the game. I didn't think we played as well as we could have done. But then I also said Chelsea need credit where it's due. They went down to 10 men and you never knew. Well, I said to the man standing next to me, who I met yesterday, lovely man, talking to him. He said to me, I forgot that Chelsea were down to 10. And I said, do you know what? So did I. They played, credit where it's due. And when I saw that tweet today, Ferg, from AFC Stuff, thank you for that, by the way. I thought, put some context on it, will you, this season? We've drawn away at the team that's second in the league, right? The wheels haven't fallen off. Far from it, And
they were the team that given us the best game so far. Sunderland probably closely behind them, and then Liverpool was more of a chess match. But we haven't really played a really hard game of football like that.
I agree. Liverpool was a chess match that we didn't need to play. We didn't need to play chess against Liverpool. We could have played snakes and ladders and ended up better off, but the first game of the season away at the champions, you don't expect them to be that negative, No, because they didn't play against us either at Anfield, did they?
First game was United, but first time seeing them this season. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah. And then you've got the Sunderland game. Credit where it's due. Sunderland played well, equalised in the 94th minute. Didn't give up, but it was a point away at Sunderland. Lots of teams will get nothing. And then yesterday, and Ferg, I'm disappointed. But I'm disappointed because the Arsenal didn't win. When on reflection now, I look back at it, I think, it was a draw. Move on.
Dan says he agrees with what we've said, but do you think if you look at the Chelsea game in isolation, it was a terrible performance? I've talked to Dan today, and I disagree with him. I don't think it was a terrible performance.
No, I think you see what we've got to remember here is that Dan is an extremely passionate Arsenal fan. Arsenal live deep inside Dan. He's a great friend of ours. And once you get to know Dan, you realise just this club is basically what his life's about. He lives for Arsenal, right? Like we all do. But I don't think yesterday's performance was terrible, Ferg. I think it was up and down. The first half, right? The first half, I thought, as we said to Alan, we didn't move the ball very well. We couldn't seem to get any momentum. I couldn't work out what was happening with Marino. He was up the field, back in the middle, up the field, back in the middle. And there were times when we got away with the ball and Marino's at central defence and we want him up front, And I think that was confusing Eze a little bit, to be honest. So the first half wasn't the best. Second half, we go 1-0 down really early. And by the way, Ferg, did I tell you that goal was offside? Right, that goal was offside. I'm fuming about it. Take everything else out of it. Take our performance out of it. Take the subs out of it. Take the injuries out of it, right? The goal was offside. Nothing else mattered, right? Anyway, so when they score, we seem to lift, right? We seem to play a bit better. And then when you put the ball in the net and score, and you're thinking, right, grandstand finish from the Arsenal coming, and it didn't materialise. So I wouldn't say we were terrible, but I would say we were far from at our best, Ferg. We will do better this season in many games.
I think the week of football that we had showed, and we'd looked at a little bit leggy. We do it every show. This show has been all over the place. It's not even ran to any sort of agenda or anything else, but it's a conversation, and it's okay to talk.
Go on.
It's
Sorry, I'm talking to myself here. Go on.
Okay. And we always promote Andy's Man Club each show. So if you're going through some tough times and you need somewhere just to have a safe space and have a cup of tea and a biscuit or a coffee and a biscuit, look up andysmanclub.co.uk or email them at info@andysmanclub.co.uk. They have meetings every Monday between 7 and 9. Look one up in your area if you need them. And it's not just, as I say, every time suicide prevention is there to help guys, no matter what they're going through, be it gambling problems, drink problems, girlfriend problems, whatever. Just, if you need to talk to somebody in confidence and just free your headspace up, check them out.
Sometimes you don't even know what the problem is, Ferg, do you? And people just get down. Everything that Fergus has just said and more. This time of year, it's well known for being the time of year when people do what they shouldn't do. And as Fergus rightly said on Monday night, right, it is a long-term solution to a short-term problem if you take that ultimate step. Go and talk to someone. Don't bottle it up. Once you lighten the load, you feel better. And there's always a solution to everything. Just talk. Even if you message Ferg on me or anyone else on this show, we will always listen. I make that as a solemn promise, a solemn Promise. And I know for a fact Fergus does as well.
Busy December coming up. As we said, Brentford, Wednesday, Villa. Then we got Bruges, Wolves, Everton, Palace in the quarter-final. Then Brighton and Villa again back at the Emirates all this month. Wow, it's going to be a tough all month, isn't it?
Do you know what, Fergus Keating, right? They say these players need a rest. They're inconsiderate. They need to be.
What about us?
They need to be thinking of us, don't they? I mean, we've got to go into London on Wednesday night, a work night, right? I'm only going to have 2 pints while I'm there, I might add. Might be 2 pints of red wine, but I'm only having the 2 pints. And then I won't get home till Thursday morning because you're kindly letting me stop at your place because I can't.
You better not be on red wine. You'll snore the house down.
No, I don't snore anymore. Skinny Trev don't snore. And then I get home from that Thursday, right? And then Saturday morning, I've got to be up at 4 o'clock, right? To go to Aston Villa because it's a 12:30 kickoff. And I get home late Saturday night. Then Sunday afternoon, I've got to go up to London to stay at King's Cross because I'm on the 7 o'clock Eurostar out of London on Monday morning to go to Bruges. But I'm not moaning because I love it. And I'm not taking it for granted because I know I'm very lucky to be able to do it, right? I do. I'm genuinely grateful and humble at the fact I can do it. But Ferg, it bloody knackers you, mate, doesn't it?
It does. You know, I didn't go to the game this weekend. I had to duck out for personal reasons, but it was good just to have a little bit of a rest. I know I'm picking Dan up early we're driving down on Wednesday and then I'm driving to Villa Park on Saturday. It is exhausting. I'll tell you what, I think it's time to press that button.
Wait, Ferg, I know. Yeah. I've just put this comment up for Steve, mate. Steve, you're very welcome. And if we make a difference, then we make a difference, and that's great. And if you keep watching and it keeps helping, that's fantastic, mate. And if you need to talk in a more private environment, give us a shout and we'll always talk to you. You know, we're not professionals, but we know a little bit that we can help, that people can be helped. So, yeah, Steve, thank you for that message. That really means a lot, mate, to know that we do make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Right, I'm pressing the button.
Do it.
Trevor, that gets me every time, especially when they turn the music down and it's just the fans singing. It's absolutely brilliant. And I love Gary at the beginning. I want to find out who Gary is.
Mate, do you know what, right? At the Tottenham game at home, it was louder than ever. And as Alan said, and it's worth remembering, right? And he clearly said, he didn't hint at it, he clearly stated, it does lift the players. So regardless what you think of North London Forever, not everyone can like everything, and I respect people if they're not keen on North London Forever, but sing it loud, just if it just lifts the players, So I've got two more little things just before we go. Another 2 minutes, right? I want to get your view.
1 second. Simon has said he loves the show. It's the best one out there. Sensible debate without any bias. We're very biased. Argumentative rubbish. Have you not listened to Trevor?
At least I don't talk over our star guest. That doesn't.
What's that? What are you saying? What?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Right, look, right. Just want you watched the game on telly yesterday. I was hoping to ask Alan this because he was in the commentary box. I was in the ground, and at the end of the game, I watched the 90 minutes coming up, and I'm expecting 8-9 minutes here. 4 minutes went up. What happened there, Ferg?
There wasn't a huge amount, was there? There was no major injuries in the second half.
What?
There was two.
The goalkeeper was down for 3.5 minutes.
That wasn't in the added time. I think they played on a couple of minutes after that, didn't they?
No.
No, that was 88 minutes, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then you had him rolling around in the middle as well. I don't know where it came from. But listen, right, Ferg, I've got a few, because Liverpool fans have gone a bit quiet recently. So because they've not been so good, they've been a little bit noisy today because they beat your second favourite club yesterday. So, you know, if the Liverpool, and I love you really, Liverpool fans, it's only banter, right? And I'm not abusing you here. No swear words are used, and no defamatory comments. Next time a Liverpool fan comes on social media and says you've nicked their song, or you're copying them, or you're doing this or you're doing that, here's a few little facts you can throw back at them, right? The first Kop end at any ground was on the Arsenal ground, the Manor ground. Liverpool copied us calling their end the Kop end, right? They absolutely copied us. Secondly, right, You'll Never Walk Alone was written by Rodgers and Hammerstein off the top of my head, I think, for a musical. It was done as a cover version by Jerry and the Pacemakers, and Liverpool nicked it from there. It's never been anywhere near a Liverpool song. It's not like about their hometown, like North London Forever is.
Are you trying to like outdo Laura?
And thirdly, right, listen, let me talk about it in a minute. You've knocked me right off my stride now. I can't remember what. Oh, I can remember what the third thing was. Liverpool only exists. The musical is Carousel. Thank you, Demsek. Liverpool only exists because they had a fallout with Everton. They were Everton's baby club. Everton are the parent. Liverpool are the child, right? So, yeah, there's a few facts for you to keep up your sleeves for future reference.
That child was quite successful in his day as growing up, wasn't it, though, as well?
Yeah.
So, yeah, right. You have been watching Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. A different show today. Was myself and Trevor trying to get and talk about the game, but to be honest, we had Alan for a short period of time. We want to talk about so many different things with that. I hope you enjoyed the show. We will be back on Friday with the preview show up the Arsenal Fox Spurs.
Thanks for listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons or Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too. Up the Arsenal.